Hi, I'm Mario Evon, and you're listening to Talk Truth, a weekly edutainment podcast discussing the things that most people are afraid to, but from a Jamaican perspective. From relationships, sex and sexuality, to the ins and outs of entrepreneurship, in this space we speak about almost anything with the intention to inspire, educate, entertain, and create a fair and balanced space where your truth shall become your power and set you free. This is episode number 18, folks, and my name is Mario Evon. You don't know I'm your boy, and you're listening to Talk Truth. Always a pleasure being here, and I'm so glad to make it to episode number 18. This episode is a very interesting episode, but before we get there, we're gonna do our truth bombs. So, the truth bomb question of last week was, name one song you later in life discovered you were singing the wrong lyrics to. Mine was Every Time You Go Away, You Take a Piece of Me with You, and I thought the me was meat. So some of the responses we got were, if was could talk. What I didn't do is let the people tell me what the lyrics were that were wrong, but some people did. One friend said Mario Evans, Soul Tech. Funny. Book of Rules, which is by the Heptones, I believe, and I surely can understand why you would get lyrics wrong in that song. Missy Elliott, Work It. If you let me work it. I put your thing down, flip it, then reverse it. It's your from your heart. And Capleton, inner art, read with the money in the art. All right, we have Like a Virgin, touch for the very first time. We also have Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. This person used to sing red and yellow, black and white. Oh, it's yellow, red and black and I don't even know anymore. I don't know. We have Ace of Base. I saw the sign and it opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. All right. We have Earth, Wind and Fire, Brazilian rhyme. This person always sang Badia, Badia. Badia, Badia, Ia, Ia. I need to listen to this song. What is going on here? We also have Concrete Jungle. But by Jay-Z, I hear Concrete Jungle with Dreams Tomato. Interesting stuff here. All right. Thank you guys for the truth bomb responses. You don't know already. I need a truth bomb for next week. I will drop it at the end of this episode. But right now, I'm going to go into an interview with a creative. I've always wanted to speak to creatives about the challenges that they face in being creatives. And this particular creative is a very, very, very special and talented young man. And, well, the interview will tell you all you need to know. Keep it locked. Episode 18. Oh, my gosh. All right. Welcome to episode number... What episode are we at? Do you know? You don't know.
I don't know.
Well...
I'm hoping it's 7.
It's not 7.
17?
It might be
27?
18. Actually, you're so close. Actually, I'm here with a brilliant. I'm actually very honored to have a gentleman in front of me who is not only an actor, but a writer. And he goes by the name of Desmond Dennis. And he is one of Jamaica's finest, in my opinion. He may not say this himself, but welcome to Talk Truth. Desmond, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you. How are you?
I am great.
That's good.
In a sentence, describe who is Desmond Dennis.
One sentence?
One sentence.
I don't think you're giving me enough time here. One sentence? I don't think I can sufficiently.
I'll give you a paragraph.
A paragraph? Yeah, I can work with that joke.
With no word limits.
No word limit. Introverted.
Introverted.
Full stop.
Full stop. That's one word. You did it in
and
less.
that's a paragraph.
Which is...
Think about it.
It's a word.
Think
it's a
about
paragraph. And it's a complete thought.
Precisely. It's all in one.
Well,
and that's what Desmond is.
Even in that, you have expressed to me exactly why you're so brilliant. Let's take you back to the early days. Where are you from in Jamaica?
I'm from Clarendon.
We're specifically in Clarendon.
Vernon Field, Clarendon.
Vernon Field, Clarendon.
Yeah, where you're about a place called Gimme Bit.
Gimme Bit, man. I know Gimme Bit. What
Yeah.
happens in Gimme Bit?
Nothing specific.
Nothing specific?
No, but the story goes. Somebody did borrow something from somebody else, and then the man come to the girl and she said, "Yo, give me my bit."
And then it became
And
Gimme
then
Bit.
it became the name of the community. Yeah.
Vernon
So Vernon
Field-
Field is quite close to Give Me My Bit.
Vernon Field, I know where them race the car then.
Yes,
Oh,
very
that-
close to there.
Very
So
close.
the racetrack is closer to the high school, but the community called Vernon Field is at like 10 minutes away from Garvey Maceo.
Nice.
And Garvey Maceo is like 8 minutes away from the racetrack.
I
So-
like that you're using these landmarks that many Jamaicans will actually know. And so I have you here as an actor and a writer, but as a child, do you remember having stories in your head where you're a child that used to like to tell stories? Were you an actor? Were you the comedian in the house? Or were you just quiet?
I've always been a still one.
Still.
I've always been still. A part of it was that I grew up alone, albeit I had siblings. So I'm a middle child, not a middle child.
Got you.
Right. So my mother.
But I
had-
mean, them did old, them did far up,
right.
them did far from
so
you.
my mother's kids, children, they were older than me, so they were already out of the house. And I was the only child for my mother and my father, but then they'd separated. So I was with my mother, and then my father and my younger siblings were together. So I was raised alone, although I was not alone. If you
I
get what
understand. I
mean.
totally understand.
Yeah.
Right. So they were around you and you were aware of them, but you
right,
were, but
and
you were alone.
and
in
we
your,
used to spend weekends together.
right.
So that's where our relationship would have started. But outside of that, all I used to do when I was a child was read my Bible and watch cartoons. And I suppose that's where I would have learned, or that's where my imagination would have come from, because I'd often imagine myself in some of those wild cartoons, Tasmanian Devil and Bugs Bunny and all of them, you know?
Right.
So, yeah.
Would you say simple rural upbringing?
Simple rural upgrade. That's exactly what it was.
And church was a big part of it.
Have to church every Sunday school,
Right.
leading to church service, and then the post service talks.
Right.
And there you go.
And then you
home.
have some church in the weekdays too, cause you know that's
yes,
how it
you know,
go.
Wednesday night you have to go prayer
And not
meeting.
even ask which denomination it
Oh.
was, but we know how these things go. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, pretty much the standard. It's that country life.
That country life.
Yeah, you wake up in the morning and you hear the rooster out. You look outside, you see the dew on the coconut tree, like mangoes, fruits, all of that.
I grew up in Kingston, but my parents are from Westmoreland, so I understand it.
Good.
So hearing it,
I
it's
was
not,
about to
it's
say
not
pity.
unfamiliar to me. So it
Good.
makes sense. But I'm glad you described it, because I know what it sounds
Yeah, man,
like
it's
and
really
smells
nice.
like and
Yes,
feels like. It has a whole fresh,
Yes, it's
crisp and
yes,
nice.
Yes.
Well, all right. So what about primary or prep school? What were you doing in the junior school levels? What was that
So I
experience
went
like?
to well, I mean, because of where my parents used to live, they used to live in a community called Kemsil.
Mhm.
So when I started school at like 2 years old, I was sent to Kemsil Basic School,
Right.
and then my mommy always felt that I'd probably be distracted. So when by the time we'd moved to Vernon Field, the majority of the people in Vernon Field, the residents, they'd send their children to Yorktown, and that was a very popular primary school in Clarendon.
Right.
My mother decided to keep me at Racecourse Primary, or to send me to Racecourse Primary. So I was the one child going this way when everybody else was going that way.
Right.
But that was just her way of saying, keep focused. And just have your goal in sight. So she didn't want me to get caught up in all
The popularity of the school and these things.
Right.
Just do what you do wherever you're doing it.
Precisely. And then I went to the Glenmere High School.
Was there any acting in the primary school
That's
stage?
funny enough. That's actually where it started.
Okay.
And when you're young and you're not even aware that
Right.
this
It's like
is
when
what it is.
the picnic them get trained at the choir. Everybody can sing, even though everybody cannot sing.
Precisely. That's
But you end up
what
singing
it
though,
was.
and you were acting.
precisely.
Mhm.
What it was at Racecourse, they had a tradition at the time where they'd mix grades. So grade 1 and 2 would have a general Friday. devotion together.
Right.
Grades 3 and 4, 5 and 6. So they'd pair them. So when we were in grade 3, or when I was in grade 3, we and the fourth graders
Right, 3
would
and
mix.
4.
Right.
Mhm.
But during those Friday devotions, after the devotions were over, the teachers would ask for entertainment. And remember, I told you that I grew up watching TV because I didn't have anyone to talk to.
Right.
So I knew all the advertisements by heart. And
What
so
kind of ads were going on those
like
days?
the
guys?
digestives and the Ribenas and the Miss
Ribena,
Lickle.
Miss Lickle.
Yes.
Miss Lickle, I did nice to
And
see.
the macro,
You
right.
love it?
So I knew all of those.
Miss Lickle have a lisp. Mhm. She did nice to see. What happened to Miss Lickle? She's still around?
I think so.
Okay, calm.
That would have been
She's a popular actress.
Pius, yes.
Pius, yes.
Claudette
Claudette Pius.
Lovely actress.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
I
she's
don't
still
know.
acting,
Gosh,
but
man, yeah.
she was the thing.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah,
A thing.
like, yeah, man, look up to her. So I knew all of those ads, and the teachers would just ask me to reenact them. And I'd found that because the accuracy and just the commitment to what I was doing, like I got popular for doing that. And so that became almost my quote unquote legacy.
Right.
Outside of being an academic, because I was really bright in primary
You
school.
could recite the commercials.
But yeah, everybody knew me as that guy, and then they started coming to me outside of devotion to ask me to do things and act things for them and stuff like that. But for me, it was really just about making sure they were happy. So I wasn't even looking at it like, yo, I'm going to be an actor.
Right. This is
It was
something
just,
you could do well.
Yeah.
And you
And it
probably
makes-
didn't
it
even
makes you
know
happy,
that
so-
you did it well. Really.
Precisely.
Random question. When is your birthday? And you're not, when is your birthday?
February 7th.
What sign is that?
Aquarius.
Yeah, I get into signs sometimes. People can't stand me about it. I'm not hell-bent on it.
Yeah.
I just sometimes I believe people born around certain times have similarities and traits. I just noticed you said your attention to detail and your commitment to reenacting things. I don't know if Aquarius it has those traits. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure that is one of...
What I
Well,
would say
yeah,
though
yeah,
is that
attention to detail,
I'm a
yeah.
Libra and I'm also creative, and we're both air signs. We're supposed to get along.
We're supposed to.
We are.
And I think we
and
do.
Gemini, we do. Gemini is another air sign as well. I
You
get
know
along
what's
with
funny?
them too.
Like, I've always wondered,
But they're crazy.
is it because is it that they are crazy because they're supposed
The
to have like
twins?
the double personalities? Is that
I'm
a thing?
not upset nobody, but me mean enough for them, and some of them mad. At least I'm the scale, so
But
I
aren't
know
we,
that
to
I
be
am the
fair?
scale.
To be
I try
fair,
to
aren't
stay in
we
the
all?
center. Aren't you all a little
Aren't
crazy?
we all a little mad?
And isn't crazy relative?
Precisely.
Well, let's crazily move into Glenmuir High School. One of the high schools who notoriously known for, I shouldn't say notoriously, but known for the arts.
Right.
Altogether sing, they shine. They have a wonderful choir. They always have.
You
And
know, at one point, Glenmuir had like 6 choirs. Yeah, at
And
one point we had a junior festival, a senior festival, junior concert, senior concert.
you wonder
there was
how
a
a
mixed
school
choir.
even gets this kind of reputation. Who is the force behind? Well, tell me, who's the force behind this?
At the time, a lot of what was done at Glenmuir was spearheaded by Mr. Sidney Bartley, and his name slips me now, but
Right.
he was in charge of the concert choir, and that's the choir that would have put forward people like the Sharona Forsters.
Right, Sharona was Glenmuir
Right.
too. And my good friend who plays keyboards for me, Denny Greaves, is at Glenmuir, Yes.
right. So at different points,
Lisa, who was in the
Lisa,
movie. Lisa,
yes.
Lisa, we're talking about Lisa. Yes, we know.
Lisa
we're
was a
talking-
head girl.
Lisa was in Get Alive.
Yes, Lisa was one of my
That's
head
a
girls.
talent, yes.
White, Mr. Leo White.
Leo White, yes.
He would have been in charge of the concert choir. And then Sidney Bartley would have been in charge of, or he used to assist the festival choir.
Well, big ups to these Jamaicans who helped to foster the growth. All right, so you're now in Glenmuir.
Mm-hmm.
Are you acting from First Farm?
No.
All right.
I act funny enough, like I didn't do anything for Glenmuir in terms of acting outside of the popular Eisteddford competition. So every year I'd or most years, depending on what pieces were presented, I'd make sure that I represented my house because I'm very competitive.
Right.
So I wanted Pawsey to kind of, be up there. So I'd compete for my house, but outside of that, I didn't do anything arts related until 3rd form when I joined the choir.
Okay. So you sing?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Or I can carry a note.
Right.
Tune.
Yeah.
It was, here's the truth. in sixth form, no, let me just give you the backstory. At the time that the speech group became a thing at Glenmuir, it was led by Rayon McLean.
Right.
Now, the day I was going to audition or sign up for a speech club, I'm walking down the quadrangle, and he has the group outside in the quadrangle. They're rehearsing for some. They always had things doing. That was cool. So I'm going down there, and then somebody made a mistake, and he just started shouting. And at that time, I was a little more, self-aware, more assertive.
Right.
So I knew that our personalities would clash, and so the fact that he was shouting was it turned me off. Like, I got upset, and I turned around and I said,
"You're not doing this."
Yeah, that's
right.
not for me.
That space is not for you.
That's not for me. And then I found that because I used to love singing as well, I joined the choir as the alternative to that. And then in sixth form, like, Rayon would have been gone by then. So
Rayon, who is probably now your friend, right?
Rayon is my very good friend and now my director in quilt.
Which I realize why you're so comfortable saying it, right?
Yeah. But after that, in sixth form, the group that he would have brought up were now the leaders of the speech group. And that I Stedford, I shone.
Right.
I won all three categories that I participated in, and I directed the group piece that won. So my house was the champion house that year, and the leader of the speech group, Keith set up an intervention. So school ended, and I noticed that a group of them were in the corner of the auditorium. And just that I'm stepping outside, Keith calls me over and he says, "What are you doing with your life?"
They were going to jump you. But it was a creative jumping.
Yes, it was.
A creative lynching.
And I was just like, what do you mean? And he's just like, somebody as talented as you are should be using your talents for good. You can't just turn up and do a Stedford and that's it. What are you contributing? And I was offended. I'm not going to lie. Like, I really was offended at the way he said it. But afterward, like, I thought about it and I was just like,
and
wow,
this is
there's
not
something to it.
Afterwards,
no,
right?
man, like, it was having like 2 days or 3 days later. I would have thought about it. And at the end of that conversation, he had said to me, "Rehearsals are on Wednesday, and I expect you to be there." And I walked away because, as I said, I was offended by the approach. But then, like, that Wednesday,
he lynched you properly. He did it. Yeah, he had impact.
I was at rehearsal, and it turns out that year was when I really put a lot of effort into just catching up, because I said I went through the entire time without doing anything like that outside of competing for my house. So I wanted to catch up to them because they'd been doing it in their system. And I knew that I was good at writing because I always used to write things for, like, class. And when I did English later and stuff like that, I'd always, orchestrate those things. So I wanted to kind of channel all of that energy. So I wrote a lot of pieces. I directed a lot of the pieces. And at the time, Glenmuir is a force in JCDC. I'm not sure if they still are. Probably are.
I know Arden is quite a force, but yeah. Comment a bit on the importance of receiving validation. So I feel like the gentleman who told you that, what are you doing with your life?
Mm-hmm.
He offended you, but in essence he also validated you because he's saying you're brilliant and he's saying you can't just do this and done. And I'm talking validation not only from peers but from the school community or wherever else you got it from.
But like, for me, and even now, I don't think I didn't receive it as much from the perspective of validation. He's validating that I'm good, like I knew I was good. It wasn't about that.
So what you believed in your own talent from early?
Yes.
You just felt it?
Yes.
Inside?
Yeah, because you see the impact you have. And that's why even from primary school, I'd readily reenact whenever somebody came up to me because I saw that they'd laugh or I saw that they'd have some sort of
so how people
reaction
responded
to
you was all the validation you needed. And
that's
you knew,
all the validation
I'd
ever wanted. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need it to say, "Yo, you're good." Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling what I want you to feel like? That for me is that
important conversation, because a lot of people have delayed growth because they actually aren't sure how good they are. And I think the people who do really well, I feel, identified early, because then they can get that 10,000 hours if you even want to go there,
Right.
because they're so already sure that
Right.
they can kind of keep sitting in their truth or in their...
For me, that conversation really was more about the challenge.
Right.
It was about him saying, you're lazy.
And you're
or
like,
you're
are you saying that I'm
ungrateful.
lazy? Right.
Yeah, it was more like I could be offering something. I could be making more. I could be doing more.
And I guess at the time you thought you were doing enough.
No, I think it was a case that I hadn't thought about it.
Right. So it was a new challenge.
Yes,
to you.
it was a new challenge.
like,
That's what
oh,
it was.
okay.
So it was more like, wait, he does have a point. Like what like what's the sense in
Right.
being able to do it if you're not going to use it for good? Like, why not try to get your school some medals? Like, why sit on it?
Right.
So and that kind of brought me back to the things you'd read as a child in the Bible, like the guy that got his talent and buried it. Like
Right.
in that moment, I felt like the one that buried the talents.
Right. He put you right in that space.
And
right.
that
And
for
that
me was
challenging.
all I needed. So him saying you need to be doing something with it.
Yeah. Was a
That's really-
good push.
Yes.
Parables.
Yes.
Wow. All right. So at this point, you are now, well, as you say, you recognize your talent and you're also using your various skills. So you're directing, you're writing, you're acting, and you've sung as well.
Yeah.
You're now senior Glenmuir. All right. So you're moving to what next? You're
After that we did festival, and then after that it was UE.
right.
Yeah, because that would have been the end. As I said, that was sixth form. That was 6B into 6A.
Mm-hmm.
So I did 2 years. 1 year in JCDC because I would have been drafted for 6B. And then I, competed in 6A with the group. And then I went to UE, and at UE I really decided that this is what I want to do almost. Like
Right.
I found.
You're sure.
Yeah.
For the younger people listening, what kind of subjects were you doing at Glenmuir? You were doing
I
science
was a
subjects,
science.
or you were
Yeah,
doing arts?
I was a science student.
So you
I've
did chem,
been
bio?
biochem, physics, math,
Maths.
all of them.
Right.
Yeah, I only did the arts up to 5th form because of the stream that I was in.
What was your intention?
I was supposed to be a doctor.
Okay, so that was what you were streamlining yourself
Right.
for all along.
Right.
So in a way, at that point, was acting and these things kind of hobbyistic? A hobbyist, I would say.
They were.
They were.
Because as I said,
it's on the side.
the chief reason I did those things was because I saw that the people around me enjoyed it. So if Desmond is on the stage, they're going to laugh. If Desmond is on the stage, they're going to see something different. If Desmond is on the stage, they're going to feel different. And for me, just knowing that at the end of it, they feel some sort of fulfillment from whatever you put on the stage, that for me was the only reason, or that was the main reason I did it. It was for the people. It was always for the people.
Which is a good place to start.
Yeah.
For me, I always speak about my generation and how we were in the mold of doctor, lawyer, and that was the way to go. Even at your stage of the game, do you feel the Jamaican societal expectation of a stable profession kind of helped to dampen you even thinking it was like a choice? Like, can this even be a real career in Jamaica?
I mean, it's one of those things that we all face as young artists. Some of us have different variations of the story, but it's still ultimately the same end
story.
Goal. Because for me, it genuinely was that I wanted to be a doctor.
You actually liked
I
it
genuinely
in your mind,
love
right?
science, and
all right. So
I
this was
really
coming from you, not you weren't being told to do this.
No, nobody told
a family
me
member.
to. No, it was never that. It was always.
Neither was I actually. For clarity, my father's a doctor. They always pit them say, "Oh, if father tell it, nobody told me to do medicine."
Yeah.
But it was the example that I had in my space, so it was an easy one to then kind of streamline as a science student to medicine, because it seemed logical.
Right.
But no one really forced me ever.
It's strange that, and again, I guess 2020 for hindsight. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like when I started to do the art stuff, a lot of people came and said, "Is this what you're going to do?" And at that time, I was just like, "No, I'm going to do science. I'm going to do med." And they're just like, "There's something here," and I'd be like, "Yeah, sure."
That was them identifying your talent, even
saw
when
it
you
before
were
me.
when you were not looking, right?
They really saw it before me, and
Right.
as I said, it's just one of those things that years later, you think back and you go, hey, this conversation, that's what this person was saying to me, and this person was saying to me. And in that space, I was just so hell-bent on
being a doctor that you weren't even thinking about it.
I wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah, sometimes. Anyway, that's life. This way, I want to take over a little bit because I want to mention how I met you. And the way I met you was because I saw you on stage. And it was Maya Wilkinson's play, which was called?
Heist.
And Heist was hilarious. I mean, it was so well written and so well executed.
Maya is a genius.
But Maya, as a human, is just witty and funny.
Right.
Anyways, if you just hang around and you're laughing all the time.
Always.
And she was able to translate that wit onto the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And then she had this brilliant cast, you know. It was well casted.
Well casted.
And it was just a lot of slapstick. It just reminded me of one of them old shows there where, I don't know, I can't really even put it into words.
You know, funny.
But there are some shows that I've seen in my childhood growing up, and Heist felt exactly like
and
it.
that's what.
But in a Jamaican way.
So when because a lot of the patrons who would have come to Heist,
right,
the full production would not have known that show had been done like 2 years before in Talawa at UA. And when it was just three of us. So it was just a security guard, Max, and myself, Tiggs. And when she gave me the script, I immediately knew I wanted to do it because of what you just said.
Right.
It's slapstick, and it's one of those styles that we don't often explore in Jamaica.
And quick wit.
Yes.
Quick wit, which a lot of Jamaican comedy doesn't have. It's like, you can almost see the jokes coming, but
Precisely.
I couldn't see these jokes coming. And when them slap you hard and you laugh.
Yes.
I even laughed.
Yes.
I'm that dude who laughs at the stuff nobody else laughs at.
Same.
So I found myself laughing at these off jokes.
Yes.
I was on the offbeat.
And the odd things.
What? I was dying.
Yes. And that's the beauty of that show.
I commend you because I'd never seen you before. I don't think ever. And I was like, who is this brother? Because I said, he is so talented. I mean, I think I probably went on Twitter and found it and tweeted you. Because I tend to do that because I like to support my fellow Jamaican artists because it's a weird space.
Right.
And sometimes we can feel competitive, like there isn't enough space for everybody to fit.
Yeah.
But if I see something, I like to say, hey, this song is good, or hey, you did it well.
And that's the way to go about it. We have to all build.
Difference.
Yes.
When you hear it from another person.
It really, really, really does. And it's one of those things that we, especially as the younger generation coming up, we have to just kind of sustain that energy of pushing each other and making sure each other is uplifted, because we all know the challenges we're going through. And so we all have to ensure that, hey, how you feel today, what you do, what we can help you with, like how we're going to help each other, because that's the only way the industry will survive. If there is that energy of, yo, me, I'm going to be the star, me, I'm going to be the best, then everything going to fall.
You're going to crash.
And we don't need that.
I want to jump to challenges, but just to complete the journey, I just want to know what groups you were functioning in at UA when you moved to UA.
So I kind of took... And sorry,
things. People, UA is the University of the West Indies. This is Jamaica Mona campus.
Yes. There, I joined the Dramatic Arts Society, and that was the first place that kind of gave me like a sure-footed journey, like lesson,
right?
Structure to my approach.
Was Mr. Heap there at the time still?
Yes, at the time he was the head of the center,
right?
And I would have worked with him and Michael Holgate, who's my mentor. For the major part of that, there's T.N. Robinson, another talented young director, who gave me my first real role. Like my first award at Tala was my first time doing a play, and all I had was 6 lines. I'll never forget that.
Summarize what Talawa is to the non-Jamaicans. What is Talawa in the context of university and acting?
Talawa is a tertiary level dramatic arts festival. It's annual. It's held every year. And what it is the Philip Sherlock Center's way of kind of just providing a platform for young artists who are in college or college-based institutions to put together experimental pieces.
Right.
To just kind of test the waters. Where do you want your art to go? So it's a competition, really. It's a festival, but it's really a competition because everybody wants to see who
Exactly.
can come up with
And
the
the
best
show is
concepts and
presented
stuff
as
like that.
pieces, and it's normally like a week long,
It's a
of
week
events,
long,
right?
Generally, or 3 or 4 days thereabouts. And at the end of it, there is a best of Talawa where you see all the pieces that were or
Right.
would have been outstanding. And then there's an award ceremony.
But it is a very interesting week. A lot of brilliant things appear on that
Concepts
stage.
and
Yeah.
yes. So it's all of that. And it's open. So there are years when Trinidad would send over a contingent, and Barbados was here last year.
Right.
And they did really well. So that's what Talawa is, and that was really just like the starting point.
Right.
From there, I joined the Quilt Performing Arts Company.
Quilt.
Quilt.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say like quilt.
Yeah, because you make you feel like warm, like you put it on your
And funny enough, that's what the space feels like.
a warm space, a
It's
family space.
It's a family space, a community.
I've
almost.
witnessed it.
Yes,
yeah.
it's
I've witnessed in rehearsals too, so I know what it feels like. Nice.
right.
Brilliant and
through-
talented people in Quilt as well.
Supremely.
Yeah.
That's understatement of the year. Supremely talented. Through Quilt, I would have learned to move more freely as an artist. So you just gave me a platform to deconstruct scripts. How do you work a script? How do you take your characters? How do you break down your dialogue? How do you, the technicalities? And Quilt allowed me to grow as a feeler on stage.
Start to become free.
Yes, because a lot of the work that we do in Quilt is devised theater. So a lot of the work that Rayon McLean, he does, it has to do with experimenting with single sentences and how can we build a whole 2-hour show from one sentence, who is my God?
And then you start.
And then
you play off of each other.
You play off each other. There's a lot of contact theater, and a lot of these odd to the layman techniques that we utilize, but it sort of helps you.
It sounds very organic too, but then it makes it feel very real.
And that is the point.
Right. It feels human. It doesn't feel calculated and scripted by one person. And
precisely. And that is exactly what it's supposed to feel like, and that is exactly what it's supposed to achieve. So those are the 2 units I've worked with.
Right.
Outside of that, I've worked with practically every director that's active in Jamaican theater. I've worked with Delia Harris, Old Fire Stick, Ring Games, Michael Holgate several times.
In what capacity? As a actor? Okay,
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, these are all directors, so I'd be actor for them.
That's correct. Keep going.
I worked with Brian Heap, Michael Holgate, my mentor, Delia Harris. I've not worked with Center Stage yet. Hint, hint.
Yes, give him a call.
Right.
Center Stage.
I've not worked with David Tulloh.
Right.
Or Basil Dawkins, but I've worked with Brian Johnson, Tian Robinson, Julian Robinson when she was here.
David is coming with me from Lion King, actually, because we were in JMTC together. So I was with him on stage.
Right.
I was in the chorus though. He was acting. So yeah, and then he started to write as well.
And then
and has really, really improved as well from that time and become quite good.
But you see, that's a part of what the arts does. It's about the consistent and continuous growth.
The growth, yeah.
Yeah, you never stay one place.
Yeah. And he has done different things.
Yes.
The first things were very JMTC and kind of light and fluffy, but then now him do something where
right,
very
and
big.
now he's exploring with a lot of mature
adult.
concepts and themes, different styles of staging, and
pushing the envelope.
Precisely. But you see, the truth is a lot of the theater practitioners are pushing the envelope. It's just that I think one of the challenges we have is that we don't market our pieces enough.
Right.
So Jamaica doesn't really know that these things are going on, although they are going on.
They're going on, right,
Yeah.
right. Let's talk about challenges. Thank you. I like how these segues are happening quite naturally. But before we move to challenges, are there any other plays that you've been in, any features, movies, things that you want to just kind of throw out there that people... So we spoke about Heist as well.
Yeah, Heist.
But you've done a lot.
I've done close to 20 productions, and about 8 of those have been commercial, meaning big shows.
Right.
I would have done Same Difference, Old Fire Stick, with Delia Harris. I would have done Garvey the Musical, Blogs and Mirrors, practically all of Michael's work, because as I said, he's my mentor, so he's been teaching me all along using his work. Brian Heap, the last show I did with him was telling stories.
Tell me about Carrie Festa before going to challenges. So what's Carrie Festa, and you were just involved?
Yes, with Quilt. Quilt was a part of the Jamaican contingent to Carrie Festa, which is a regional festival. It has several areas. So there's crafts work, there's music, there's dance, there's theater. And we participated. We did extremely well.
It was in Trinidad this year?
It was in Trinidad this year. The last time we did it, we performed Reassured in Barbados.
Right.
This year, we went to Trinidad. We did Reassured. We did Revolution. One of our principal members, Jolene Alexander, mounted Run as one of the shows, and we performed on Jamaica Night. We did some old-time Jamaican songs, and we dropped in a little Beyonce at the end for a big finale, and it was
just
well
our birthday
received.
too. B-Day, yeah.
So there was that. We were well received, and we are just tremendously grateful for the reception. And people have come up and have commented on the fact that they appreciate the work that we're putting out there, and like they want to work with us more.
Right.
So that's good for us
and
good for the group,
yeah,
and it was
for the region.
And for the region.
Yeah.
And it was just an amazing experience for me personally. It's one of those things that I think kind of just opened my eyes to where I want to be.
And what spaces you want to be in.
Precisely. So I know now, even more so than ever, that I want to create more. I want to make sure that my body of work is seen, because a lot of the times we create, and because I'm so introverted, like I write the pieces and I have them, and I don't really do anything with them. But now I am certain that the pieces I write must be seen.
And it may also color what type of pieces you write as well.
Precisely.
And what you share.
Yeah.
Where.
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about personal challenges. Again, you touched on being an introvert. How does an introvert be an actor, and an actor that does solo roles, group roles, and just projects this larger than life? These larger than life characters that are outside of yourself.
For me, that's a part of why I love what I do, because when I'm on a stage, I'm not me. When I'm on a stage, I get to put me aside, and I get to work on somebody else. I get to be somebody else. I get to create their entire world, and I get to live in that world that I create for them, just based on what the script is saying or what the director wants or whatever the case may be. So it's about understanding other people. And I found that after a while, I grew as a person because I'm more empathetic now, because I'm forced,
because of the roles you have to play,
because of the roles and the range of roles I've played. Abusive fathers, abused son. I've played the bleacher. I've played a gunman. I've played a Nazi soldier. And those roles kind of get you to understand how different mindsets work and why people do the things they do. And so now it helps me in my regular interactions with people, because for conflict, I'm usually not combative. I usually try to step back and say, why did they do that?
Yeah,
you get what I mean?
Right. So you're more patient, you're more sympathetic, empathetic.
Yes. And that's why I do what I do. And so for me, my introverted tendencies don't show up in my work because it's not
another
me.
Space, right?
Yeah.
Outside of being told what to do by a director and the technical aspects of acting, how do you channel a character? I mean, I'm sure there's research, but how do you channel a character that you probably never have even lived?
Most of these people have never lived, because all I've ever lived is just the few books and
a simple country life and Clarendon. Right.
But what it is that what you just said, research. And I mean, at the risk of giving away my
don't
secret,
give it. Let's not give everything away.
I'm very observant.
Right, which is very important.
So I look, and I do the things that you'd hear a Viola Davis or a Meryl Streep talk about in interviews. I watch.
Yeah.
And then after watching, I try to come up with why they do what they do. And then I borrow. Because the people I play are real people.
Right.
Because I was observing real people.
If you never met one of these persons, you actually give them a name?
I name all of my characters.
Like in your head?
In
even
my
if,
head.
Even if the character has a
on
different name
paper,
on stage, right?
Yeah. No, if it's given to me,
Then
I have to work with it.
Right.
And work the story into it.
Right.
For instance, Tiggs. Tiggs was the role I played in Heist.
Right.
But during my journey, I realized that Tiggs was just a nickname because his real name was Tyrone Ian George Sinclair.
Right.
You get what I mean?
Right.
Like stuff like that would happen.
And we didn't know. Well, I didn't know that. Right.
And that's not necessarily
But Tiggs was a
something-
nice name because of
Tiggs
how he
was-
functioned, right?
Precisely.
Right.
It's about the
But
misdirection.
Tyrone makes me feel something totally different.
Because
And creates a
Tyrone
whole
was
other
abused.
person.
He was bullied in school. And that's why he fostered a relationship with Max.
Right.
Because Max was his bouncer.
Right.
So that friendship would have been coming from all of high school because Max used to just be the
Protect
guy
him.
to protect him.
Mhm.
And because Max has that deficit and he's smart, he would cover for Max in that way.
So
So
it's
he
like
keeps
Pinky
Max
and the Brain. They just work
just
hand in
like-
hand.
precisely.
It's
And that's something the audience would experience, but they'd not know. And this is not anything the director would have told us. This
Right.
is just me putting a backstory together, which is a major part of my process with all roles.
wow. This is exciting for me. I like to talk to creatives. All right, challenges now. So, do you get nervous before going on stage?
I don't.
Have you ever vomited before performing?
No. Let me tell you why.
Yeah.
It's linked again to my process. If I'm going out there, I do my very best. And I mean, there are cases when you'd get a one-off gig and you're told, hey, I need you for a performance 2 days from now. Those are different cases. But I never enter a stage unprepared. Because if I'm unprepared, I'm unsettled. And when I'm unsettled, I get nervous. And if I get nervous, I'll mess up my lines. So I always try to prepare so that what I channel instead of fear or anxiety or nerves is confidence. So I always ensure that I'm ready whenever I am going to head onto stage. And then I use that positive energy to just take me wherever the character needs to go.
That gave me chills, and it's because as a singer I try to also be prepared, and I like how you explained it, because a lot of people feel like because you have the innate talent that it needs to be like a jukebox and you just press play.
It's never
But
that.
but as you said, if I don't know my songs, well, I'm gonna mess up the lyrics. If I don't understand how I connect to the song, then I cannot emote the song,
Precisely.
and then I'm unprepared and I'm unsettled. And when I'm telling all of these musicians and people around me that I need all of these things to happen and they don't understand it, is my process.
Yes.
And
process.
if I don't experience my process, then it's not going to work the way I need it. I need it to work.
Precisely. And that's what it is for me. So
So by the time you're ready to hit the stage, you are the character. And you just turn that switch and you perform.
And at the
and you're
end,
ready.
you do your process to get back out, because just the
Let's
same way you
talk
have to
about
go
that.
in,
Yeah. 'Cause
you have to
people
find
ask that
your way
question all
out.
the time. Do you really feel yourself get stuck in a character sometimes? Not stuck, but you feel the emotions of the
It's
character?
not for me. I mean, every actor experiences a different thing. What I experience is that they linger.
Yeah.
So for people who've seen me work, they know I'm primarily a physical actor. So none of my characters look the same physically.
Right.
The hair is different.
they move differently.
They move different. They sound differently. And that's something I consciously work on every time I get a role, because I never want to, although my characters are often similar in terms of what
Right.
they are at the core,
No
which
one
is
is supposed to
the
see the
blubbering
same
idiot.
person.
They're not supposed to see the same person. That's why I'm an actor. I'm supposed to be somebody else. It's a different story. But what it is at the end of the day, we have to find ways of remembering who we are.
Right.
So for me, what my technique is knowing what my happy place is, right? So I focus on what my happy place is, go into the forest, and I leave myself there, and I come back out with what I've created, what I've worked on over the 4 weeks, the 6 weeks. I take him back out, do the show, and at the end of the show, I go back into the forest, leave him there, and take myself back out.
Right, because you have to go find another character soon.
Precisely. But what happens is that sometimes these people stay with you. So for instance, for the deeply spiritual based roles, those are always hardest for me to get rid of, and the ones that take you to, you know, darker places,
Right.
I find that they stay with me a little longer, and that's probably because I like playing dark roles. So for instance, when I played
I low-key do as well, even though I don't act, really.
but
But I always wanted the emotional roles somewhere deep down in my core.
you should.
Yeah, that's
You
kind
should,
of
that's something you should explore.
It's my desire because I feel like it's a challenge.
Yeah.
But not only is it a challenge, I feel like I could do it well. If I'm in the right
If that's
space.
the case, then that I think that's something you should explore. You shouldn't like limit yourself. You know
I
what
shall
mean?
explore it one day.
But what it is that those people, the nuances would stay with me. So when I did Reassured the other day, for a few days after, I found that I felt that people didn't understand me, and that's how
That was what the character went through, and
that's
you were
what he
feeling
went
that
through,
too.
and I felt that, and it wasn't that people, you know, weren't understanding me. It was just where my mind was.
You were a Gemini for a little bit. I'm just
For-
kidding.
right?
That's not kind. Geminis are like, you know.
Sorry, guys. And then when I did Garvey, the little fingered thing, because I had a finger rolling kind of thing,
right.
and that stayed with me
stayed
for
with
a
you.
few weeks after the rolls, and I don't know how to explain, but
All right. Well, I would call this a side effect of a role. I want you to tell me maybe what is your greatest challenge in that you face acting? Like, what are some of the things that you find most challenging to do as an actor? For me, like as a singer, lyrics are an issue.
all right. So for me, accents,
Accents can be
like vocal work, is generally an issue for me, and that's because outside of a case like this where I have to engage somebody, I don't talk a lot.
right.
So if I'm in situations where, for instance, I'm directing a piece, I have to talk clearly, because how else are you going to get them to move? And
But
doing an
accents, what you
interview.
mean? Like actually
Accent
mimicking
work.
it, mimicking
doing it.
accurately?
Yeah.
So like
Like-
if I ask you to give me like Trinidad and Tobago, like
Nah.
Like
nah,
dreads,
that's
that's not a problem.
That's,
if you practice
yeah,
it.
if I practice it, I get it.
So what's
And that's what I do. So that's another part of what I was saying about preparing.
right.
So when you see me on the stage, I will have it.
Yeah.
But it's not something you can come up to me and say, hey, do a Trini accent.
No,
that
no.
doesn't work like that.
All right. I
Don't do a
understand.
British accent, or because for me the process is what informs. So even when I did Heist, I did a British, I did an Italian, I did a French,
Right.
and
it all
those
happened
are
in one space.
and those
Yeah.
happen, and I had to switch them on and off and
Right,
on and
right,
off,
right.
and that took close to 15 YouTube videos, plus documentaries, plus listening to movies with people who have those accents, for it to settle into my system, so that I could do it. And then I'd have to ask my friends, because some of my friends, the Catherine Johnsons and the Shanice McCarthy's, like, they are good with accents. So I'm gonna say, yo, oh, you said this, and then we say, oh, do that, and we say, oh, all right, cool. But that's a part of the work, you know what I mean?
Of course, with no disrespect to non-actors who get selected for acting roles, maybe based on various things,
Right.
image and whatever, they may suit the character in other ways.
Right.
And this is not directed to the non-actors per se, but do you think people underestimate what goes into
All the time.
the craft?
All the time. And that's a part of why I enjoy working with groups of people who are untrained, because at the very least I'll get 4 people, very least, minimum, so you know it's more, that come up to me afterwards and say, yo, I never know.
Never have
so
no
much.
idea.
Yeah, because when you explain to them playing beats, moments, what do you communicate in this beat versus that beat, what do you do with your
They're
voice,
like, "What's
your
a beat?"
inflection,
Right.
precisely, the movement,
It's
just
probably
getting
how-
them to
this is
block.
probably how models feel, and some singers do.
You know what I mean? So it's always fulfilling for me when they understand it,
Like,
because
this is
they
a job,
always
this is
say,
a
yo,
craft.
no,
Yeah,
precisely.
this is a
They say,
craft.
no, I respect it, because I've been put through it, so I know that it's a lot.
It's like me now going to salsa every Thursday, thinking that I have good, that I can do the basic step and I'm a good dancer, and I am a good dancer. But then when it comes on to doing turns and spins, and I'm like, wow, this is technical. This is actually
Yeah.
not easy,
Yeah.
and it's challenging.
And it forces you to appreciate it
I
for
appreciate
even more.
it.
Yeah.
Same thing with fitness too. Bodybuilding, people who can look that way.
Yes.
It's not easy.
But they put in the work.
It was a lot of commitment.
And I think that's one of those things that we all as young practitioners have to remember, or whatever your art form is,
No overnight.
you have to be, you know, just get up and have it. Even if you do, but
yeah, but you still
even
have
if
to
you
work
do, you
it.
have to work to get better, yeah, or else you're gonna be stagnant.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have to work and you have to be hungry. You have to want more. Meryl Streep's still saying she's searching and she wants to learn more.
Right. You're like,
Meryl
what?
Streep.
What you search for? But yeah, you're searching.
Precisely.
I'm just gonna step out, and I know that this is what you do for most of your time now. I'm gonna just call you a full-time creative. Do you regret the choice?
There
Ever?
are days when I do.
And why?
There are days when I do, just because of put it this way, the choices we make have repercussions.
Boy, preach.
Right? And so I have put several relationships at risk by deciding to pursue art, and I'm talking about family now. And at the other end of it just comes from the feasibility of it, because you decide to put your everything into it, and sometimes the work that you put in is not rewarded in the way that it should be rewarded, just because of how the world is
and
set
we
up.
know, so financially it may not be as rewarding.
Precisely.
So you are pouring your life into a craft that is not feeding you back the way it could.
The way it could and should.
And should, because it is in other spaces.
Precisely. So it just opens up a can of worms, like what is happening
You're like,
here
I love
that
this,
makes
I'm
it
glad to be
different
here,
from,
but today is really rough and I could do it some more money, and maybe if I had done this, maybe I would have been making more money, but I'd be very unhappy. So what should I do? So that's the
conundrum. And the truth is, I like being happy, because let me tell you, nothing for me feels better than doing a show and then walking out to do a curtain call and the crowd is standing. Nothing beats that feeling.
And that's like a professional happiness.
And it transcends into my personal being, because for me, it means that I made them feel all the things they wanted to feel. You know what I mean? The impact is there. And that for me has always just been like a driving force. Like, what will your work do? What does your work do?
I talk about that a lot on this show, but the other day I say to somebody, I say, but impact now pay my bills.
Which is true.
I heard them, but at the same time I felt like, you know, I guess it depends on who you are and what you want out of life.
Yeah.
But I couldn't trek through this short life just earning a salary and knowing that I haven't touched a soul. For me personally.
And that's something I can relate to, and that I do relate to.
So I would rather have impact than be a millionaire.
Yeah.
But hey. Oh wow. Let's see if we can relationships affected, yes, your choices. Tell me about your hopes for the future for you. What do you see in the lights? In the stars?
For this phase of my life, I will say this act.
Right.
You know,
this
since
act.
we're all talking theater.
Yeah, right.
In this act, the word is legacy. So I'm in a space right now, and I'm in a frame of mind that I want to create things that people will remember. I want to do things that people will remember and remember for all the right reasons. I want to do a piece of work that forces people to talk about what issues are and come up with solutions.
Right.
You know what I mean? In just the same way that Miss Lou used to say, yo, patois is the thing. And she put her entire life into working towards making patois a thing. And now, years later, patois is a thing. That's the sort of impact
that lives on beyond her.
And that's her legacy. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Like that's where my mind is. What are the ways I can work towards leaving something solid and something worthwhile
Noel
for
Dexter.
Noel
Rex
Dexter.
Nettleton.
Precisely.
Yeah.
That's where my mindset is right now. I've started working on that. I recently started my own performing arts group.
Oh, yes.
Yes, the Artcore Performing Arts Company. Small unit.
Artcore.
Wonderful. It's a name that... and before anybody asks, no, there's no conflict of interest. I'm still also Quilt. And I discussed it with my director before.
But this is your personal venture, which will coexist with Quilt.
Which will coexist because they are both achieving, and they will achieve two different things. Right. Do you understand? That's why it's not a problem. So there's that. I am in a space now. I'm working with a group called Evon, a young media group. So I'm working on a lot of film content right now. So in short order, people will see some scripts that would have been penned by me and possibly directed by me. Funny, some heavy.
All sort of
And they're
something.
tackling all the issues that a lot of creatives, I find, in Jamaica at least, are afraid
to
tackle.
touch, right?
Yes.
Which is great.
Because that's a part of what the little reputation that I have, it's linked to that. People always come expecting
Something
to see something
controversial.
controversial. They know that I'm not afraid to say a particular thing using my play or say a particular thing using my poetry. And so that's where I'm very eager, anxious almost, to push my work out there now for more people to see, because I'm tackling, some of those less talked about things.
And for the listeners listening, I'm smiling because when I decided to venture into the podcast world, this is what I had hoped Talk Truth would be all about. And not to be raw, not to be vulgar, but to be candid and to touch on some of the things that we don't often talk about in a Caribbean context, that they're happening, and people need to hear the stories, and they need to hear what people are doing, like this gentleman here. Why not try and get out of Jamaica, Desmond? Why not go to the United States? Tell me about that. How you feel about that?
The truth is, it's something I have considered and I'm considering.
All right.
It's just that at this phase, I'd rather get my things out and functioning first before. I think that's another phase of my life, because I do know that ultimately I want to do Broadway.
Right.
I think that will speak in terms of validation. Remember, we were speaking about validation earlier. I think when I'm on a Broadway stage, that's the first time I'll actively consider feeling like I've achieved a particular.
That's like a personal
level. That's
goal.
A personal
and
goal
we don't,
for me.
and we know that you're very capable of that. But I feel like the impact that you're creating now here, with what you're doing now, maybe even greater than Broadway.
And that is why
it's
okay for me to be here
now.
right now, because this is more important. This is more pressing. I know that eventually I'll do Broadway. I know that eventually I'll be in a few major Hollywood things. I mean, I've been on Netflix.
I mean, you have been on Netflix.
I'm there at the cusp of it.
You want to tell us which show that was?
I was in one episode of Luke Cage.
You were in Luke Cage, yes.
Yes, I was in Luke Cage.
We won't go too hard on it. Yeah,
right.
We know some people are upset about the accents, but hey.
I was too.
But hey.
It's one of those things.
Yeah.
Thank you. But right now it's about how can I help, help to reshape what is currently existing.
Yeah,
and that's where my primary focus is. And then after that, I'd think about going abroad and doing other things.
I have one more question for you, and then I'm going to ask you any final words. And my last question is to the young actors and actresses who I know look up to you already, who will listen to this, and the ones who don't know you. What words of advice do you have for them?
You have to know yourself. You have to know what your strengths are. You have to know what your weaknesses are. And you have to be open to acknowledging your strengths for what they are and your weaknesses for what they are. And then you have to work towards strengthening your weaknesses so that they become strengths. And then your strengths just become a part of you, your core. You know what I mean? You have to be consistent. Consistency is key. You have to be consistent. You have to work hard. It's not this industry is not one that anybody can get anything from. You have to pay your dues almost. And then the theater or the film will reward you. When your dues are paid, that's when you start, seeing the rewards. So don't come thinking, hey, I'm just gonna be there. You have to push yourself and work towards it. But if you have that just focus, that streamlined focus, and that get it done attitude, then
it will come back.
It will come
the doors
back
will
around.
open.
Yes.
The doors will open.
Yes.
I don't even want to give you any more final words. I think that should be the final word. You agree?
I agree.
We can work with that.
We can work with that.
Actor, writer,
Director,
photographer, media practitioner.
Yes.
Desmond Dennis, a fascinating young Jamaican man doing great things, and I am really truly honored to even get this opportunity, because I know in years to come I'm going to look back and I'm gonna be happy that this happened. But outside getting him on this show, just truly inspiring, to be honest. So thank you so much for your time.
It was my pleasure.
Pleasure was actually mine. Thank you so much for listening to episode number 18 of Talk Truth with my amazing guest, Mr. Desmond Dennis, actor, writer, director, and just a young Jamaican doing amazing things. He says he's a shy person, he's an introvert, and he was kind enough to share a bit of his journey with us. Thank you so much, Desmond, and we look forward to greater things from you. I think an appropriate and fitting truth bomb would be, if you're not in your career of choice, what other career or thing were you deeply passionate about that you didn't do? And mine, which my close friends know, is that I'd probably be a dancer even more than I would be a singer. And I regret missing the boat. I regret not being brave enough to dance in the Caribbean as a Jamaican man, because I was afraid of how I would be judged and ridiculed. But I fancy myself a really good dancer, and I think that had I been formally trained, I would have been a really excellent dancer. But probably not gonna happen now, but I'm still gonna dance until the day I die. So maybe I won't be in a company, but I will be on a dance floor near you. So look out for me. Watch out now. So thank you for listening, guys. Another episode in the can. Always tons of fun. You know what to do. Follow me at Mario Evon on Instagram, and I'm Mario Evon on all social media platforms. Follow Talk Truth JA on Twitter. And we have a website, talktruthja.com, and an email address, talktruthja@gmail.com. Please leave us a review on iTunes, and always just take screenshots of our wonderful image on Instagram, and repost, share, like, comment. Tell us how you feel about the show. Tell us what's popping. We like to, promote the podcast and hear how you feel. And you know what to do. Tune in again next Sunday. Can't wait to share another episode with you. It's always love and light right here from your boy Mario Evon, and you're listening to Talk Truth. The place where your truth can become your reality and set you free. Until next time.